In 2011, I found myself as a single parent. Not something I ever envisioned in my life, but it was a very unhealthy environment. So my whole goal was to just protect these little kiddos. So I took the 3 kids, left all the stuff behind, didn't have any money whatsoever, super beyond broke, literally had to cash in my life insurance policy. I had $10,000 cash value in there to start life over. Apartment, kids, food. It was the mattress on the floor and the little apartment and just starting over. But the peace that I had even in that moment was beyond explanation. I knew it was going to be okay, that God was going to provide a way. I just didn't know what that was.
What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, and today we have an extremely special couple to Lauren and I in the office. Unbelievable, dynamic duo that have an amazing story, right? Like we're going to talk through going from like literally food stamps and being homeless to, now an agency doing, I don't know, like tens of millions in premium, right? Every single year. Crazy operation in Kansas City, Missouri. Polaris Insurance Solutions, also with like a 19 or 20-year-old now that's literally wrote like 40 something apps in the last like 3 weeks. Like they've got a lot going on. It's amazing. It's going to be a great story. Steve Knirsch and Amy Knirsch from Kansas City, Missouri. What is up, you two?
Yes.
Good to be here.
Yes, thanks so much for having us. It's always a honor to sit across the table from you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I love getting a chance to tell your story. It's always been such a great story. It's gravitated and helped so many other agents. Like you guys don't even try to recruit, and you have people reaching out all the time, which is really cool. I think it's also a testament to like being good people, having a good heart, doing the right thing. Like I think I know that speaks volumes. And there's just so many people in the industry. It's like, okay, who can I trust? Who can I believe? Right? Who's actually doing what they say they're doing? And so. Oh, so did you drive down or did Steve fly y'all down there?
Well, this particular trip we drove, but that's on the plans.
Yeah, but on my iPad this morning, I was figuring out how to get here. Flying to downtown. And
I love that. Yeah. I'm so jealous. He's getting for those joining us, Steve's getting his pilot's license. Or really, you're still going through it, though, technically.
Yeah, I've got just a few more steps and I'll be done. So
it's amazing. I freaking love that.
Hopefully by my birthday, it'll be complete.
Yes. Also, y'all been on the channel before. Did I interview both of you before? Or was it more just Amy? What happened before?
Yeah, we did one with both of us and several just myself.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. I love it. And so there's several interviews previous. If you look up, right, Amy seriously Knirsch on with Cody Askins, there's a ton on YouTube. However, for those that haven't seen or heard their story, I wanted them to share it again because you have so many new agents coming onto the channel that are looking for additional content and want to learn. I would love to hear really like how each of your stories, how it's came together, what you went through, and kind of like break it down. And then we're going to talk through like all the amazing things you're doing now and make sure, I know we really want to do is justice to y'all's story, but also justice to our audience from like a teaching standpoint today too. So however you would love to start.
Perfect.
Awesome.
I'll start because I was first in the business.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So in 2011, I found myself as a single parent. Not something I ever envisioned in my life, but it was a very unhealthy environment. So my whole goal was to just protect these little kiddos. So I took the 3 kids, left all the stuff behind, didn't have any money whatsoever, super beyond broke, literally had to cash in my life insurance policy. I had $10,000 cash value in there to start life over. Apartment, kids, food, clothing, shelter, gas,
How much money did you have like in your
None.
to your name before that, right?
Yeah. Well, when I was in my previous situation, money wasn't an issue, but it became that for me because I just, like I said, left it behind because all I really cared about was protecting these little souls and these little people,
Absolutely.
So it was the mattress on the floor and the little apartment and just starting over. But the peace that I had even in that moment was beyond explanation. I knew it was going to be okay, that God was going to provide a way. I just didn't know what that was. I thought I could just go get a job in my field because I'd have a master's degree. Thought I could just pick it up. But I was fortunate enough to stay home with my kids for about 10 years before that, which was a super huge blessing. Wouldn't give that up for anything. Can't get that time back.
Yeah.
But I was incorrect in being able to just land a job again. You know.
What was your master's in?
It's in health and wellness. It's kind of a little bit like Lauren.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when I had worked in physical therapy and cardiac rehab, so when you sit out of kind of a medical world for 10 years, I don't think you're that, valuable maybe.
Sure.
So I was really looking for anything. I mean, I was applying at Target for Pete's sake, just to try to drive some revenue. But then they wouldn't hire me or even interview me because I was overqualified. They knew I probably wouldn't stay. So then insurance came across my lap, which was pretty laughable. I'm like, no little kid in career class is like doctor, firefighter, teacher, insurance agent.
Correct.
So I was like, I mean,
what was your initial thought though? Like, and what did that look like? Was it through like a job board? You were just applying to everything, or they reached out?
Yep. I had my resume out on Indeed. Yep.
Cool.
So I was like, I don't really know what this is. So I went to the interview, which ended up being like a group interview, and then all that, they whittle you down. And
how long ago was that?
That was in 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So about 13 years ago at this point. Okay.
Yep. So then it was like, I think the interview went well. Then they offered me the job. Again, I'm still thinking job, right? And a lot of the people in my warm circle, were like, what are you doing? Like, you're not going to make it at that. No one really makes
salary,
it at that. No all
hourly.
Commission.
Mm-hmm.
And
did they tell you how hard of a career it was, or they made it seem like it was easy, or what?
No, they were like, I mean, if you really apply yourself, you could make, 30 to 50,000 the first year or something.
Oh, so they were very realistic. Then.
Yeah.
Good.
So I was like, okay, but I don't really understand this commission. So like, I have to do something to get paid, and I ended up doing a lot of things before I got paid,
Mm-hmm.
And I had a good recruiter, not a real great manager. Here's some old paper leads, 2 or 3 years old. Here's a couple scripts. Good luck. Let me know if you need something. That was my training.
Top notch.
Yeah.
World class.
Yep.
Yes.
So here I am in my apartment in a corner of my bedroom, scared out of my mind to even start dialing. And then praying no one would answer when I did start calling, that I could leave a message on their voicemail.
Was that a thing? Because I think a lot of agents go through that where it's like, okay, oh gosh, I don't know what to say. Please don't answer.
Yeah. And then after a while, I'm like, this is really dumb. Like, I'm not going to sell anything and feed my kids if I don't actually talk to someone. But I think the real thing with that helped me become successful in dialing is that I just realized I just had to be me. And I did actually have people call me back from the voicemails. You're the only person that I've talked to that speaks clear English, that seems to understand what it is I want. You seem like a real person.
Wow.
So that's how the dialing started. And then I kind of became, once I had a little bit of money, I became kind of a lead junkie because, again, I had to feed my kids. So I remember being on a golf course in Florida with my son and making calls in the trees, because leads were coming in, and I had to make sure to
was it cold calling before, initially when you first started?
Yep.
So, and it was health insurance back then as well?
Yep.
Under 65,
Only under 65 health insurance. Again, I barely knew what a deductible was and a copay, so I just had to learn about the product. But honestly, I think you can learn products and you can learn sales skills.
For sure.
But like trying to teach an agent just basic culture skills and just the foundation of who they are, that's the part that really has to jive, right? That they've got to find themselves and find their value in who they are, not necessarily in what they do. And when you can help someone start to realize that, and I have people around me that helped me with that, because all honestly I could see at the time was food, clothing, and shelter, these kids. And I just kept my blinders on and did whatever I needed to do at the time. So with no money, I was counting on myself to do walk and talks, go in and out of businesses, introduce myself, leave a card,
so you're doing
go
a lot.
to a ton of networking. I couldn't afford the whole chamber membership, but I could afford $24.97 a month. I went to like everything that the chamber had, which is a lot. In Lee Summit. They're very active. And
how was your first month?
First month, not that great.
Do you know how much total money you made, if you had to guess?
Oh, I mean, yeah, about $70.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you were in the negative for sure.
The first group of applications with our manager, he would take you out on the appointment, and he would help you run the appointment. Then he would write the applications under him, and then he would give you some money on the side. So that's where the $70 comes in. Mm-hmm. So he would do that 4, 5, 6 times, and then you could take over the business after that. And so
you got $70?
Yeah, that was our first.
$70.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, all that calling.
Where did the $70 come from? I'm trying to understand $70. Like,
yeah, so he the client was his, the commission was his, and then he just paid me a little bit of that commission.
Got it. But it was your appointment.
It was my appointment, but it was his client now, and his sale, and his commission.
Got it. And how did he come up with $70? Just like, hey, this sounds.
Just 1% of his commission. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Not cool, but okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, and then, like, take us through like the next couple months, and then the first year, few years, whatever, and then when Steve jumps in the story.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I just continue to do all that networking, built up a ton of referral partners that still send me clients to this day.
Wow.
The beautiful thing about health insurance, I always had heard about residual income, didn't know what that really meant. It's like, I mean, I guess I'm following what you're saying, but it's really started to understand it when, 5-figure residual income dropped into my account a few years in, for 1 month of stuff I've done from the beginning. Happened to be on a beach on a carrier trip, sitting next to the president of the company, those kind of things. It really helped me understand that. But back then, towards the beginning, they did teach me well how to bundle sell, which is super important for the client, not necessarily thinking about it from a commission standpoint.
Yep.
But what I did in doing that, and including the health insurance, accident, critical illness, life insurance, dental, vision, all those things.
All of it.
All of it is part of
how many products
nearly
is that?
every sale, 5 or 6.
5 or 6. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I know you'd mentioned Emma. She's the queen of bundling, and
That's
she has at least 5 applications on every client. So
amazing.
Yeah. So, but one thing that I did there in that bundle was utilizing life insurance with a critical illness benefit. Life insurance, you get paid daily, you get paid decent up front, a large advance. So I literally paid my bills on the life insurance with the critical illness benefit that was part of the health insurance package, while the health insurance piece built up an annuity income. There was a lot for me, there was a lot of foot on the gas, off the gas, to be honest. The first few years, I just had a lot of trials, and I was struggling at working through the grief of, I lost my brother, my sister, my health went sideways, just all kinds of things were happening, and I wasn't really understanding why. And so I was going into these pity parties, which you need to go through the grief and you need to be present in the grief. But the kick in the dirt and, crying around about stuff didn't do well with business. So
let me touch on that, because that's a really good point. I feel like I hear this a lot. Like, I was doing a breakout the other day, and I mentioned something about like, stop like sweating the small stuff. How important was it those first couple of years? Like, now I feel like you don't let the small things bother you as much. Maybe there was limiting beliefs, maybe there was old habits, maybe you weren't used to be an entrepreneur. There's all these little things from a mindset standpoint that you kind of have to like overcome and work through.
Yep.
Can you touch on that and speak to that a little bit as well, just from an idea standpoint? Because there's so many agents that like they're all the little things bother them. It's always everybody else's fault. They can't accept responsibility. They struggle with like staying consistent. Like, how important is that?
Yeah, huge. So the mindset is the biggest thing, and getting rid of the things that don't serve you, and knowing again, like, who does God say you are? He designed you and who you are, and that value, rather than, so I had to unwind a lot of things that I was told from in my previous setting, you're an idiot, you're this, you're that, to where you start believing that all the things that are going wrong is because of you and it's your fault.
Yep.
So you had to unwind that.
I forget about all the lack of confidence things that happened over decades. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was a lot of that. So it was really just me getting down to the basics and plugging back in with who am I, who I'm made to be here. This opportunity found me for a reason. And when I could only see the food, clothing, shelter, and I put my head down and worked really hard, then once I got up and looked around, it was like, holy smokes, like there's so much to this. And the business had just exploded. And I went through this period of time. I really just wanted, my expenses were here. My income was like non-existent. And then I wanted to get here and maybe there. And then I was good. And I'm like, I'm good. I had more of a fear of success than I did of failure.
What number was that? Like income wise?
Yeah. My bills weren't that much. So, it was like $4,000 a month, And so when I got to 5, like I was fine. So I thought, but then it was the conversation where God said, but think of all the people we can help with all the extra, Amy. And I was like, oh, yes, that's it. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I'm like, all right, I don't even know what that looks like. So here you go, laying it at your feet. You show me.
That's great.
Yeah. Is it more clients, more agents? What kind of clients, agents? I don't know. But you just do whatever and show me. Like the big flashing billboard's great for me, but it doesn't always come that way. Yeah. But my phone did start ringing differently the next day where people were calling agents, potential agents, clients. Business grew over 100% 3 years in a row. Wow. And, then your mind starts shifting into who you are, who you're made to be, be who you came to be and who can you help. And so we had a strategy meeting with our team last week with our whiteboard. And the vision is how many people can we help? What kind of people? What is your heart telling you? What is it that's special to you? And I know one thing when I was helping my son register for school as a sophomore. So he was an 8th grader when I started. So those first few years were tough, and mainly because of me not believing, not being consistent, hearing, you can only fail if you quit. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, I'm not a quitter. I know that. But one of my kids said they were talking with their dad earlier that day, and I was still in the struggle of on and off and on and off. And she's like, we were talking about it and said, why don't you just go get a job in something that you're good at? Because this isn't working. And I'm like,
and then things changed.
All right. Well, I knew what was not working, which was me being consistent.
Competitive.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Watch this, sir. So that's really when things shifted and changed. So, even your naysayers can be the motivation that you need, So it was putting the foot in the gas and not letting go. But when I was helping Nelson as a sophomore registering for school, you got to pay the activity fee and the parking pass and all the stuff. And there was a line on there that said, do you want a school album? Yearbook. And I was like, hey, did you get a yearbook last year as a freshman? He's like, no. I'm like, why not? He goes, Mom, there's $60 and you didn't have $60. So I didn't want to ask you. And I'm like, all right, there's never a time my kid's going to go without for over $60, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And so
That's
it's
powerful.
just some of those pivotal moments, that your kids are watching. They're trying to care for you and help you along. But we did a vision board together about that time and said, when I make this happen, what is it that you would like to see different in your life?
Yeah.
Is it things? Is it places you want to go? What do you want to do? So we put that vision board together, and then they were on the same page. So when after school at dinner, we're talking, how was your day? The normal. What did you learn in school today? Nothing. What was your favorite thing? Recess, whatever, But then they would say, how was your day? How many clients were you able to help? And if I didn't have a very good day, or I, wasn't getting a hold of people or making sales, they would encourage me to go back to the phones after dinner because they were fully bought in on the whole thing.
Wow.
So that's kind of how things got started for me. I had pretty much declared publicly, out loud, that I was good just continuing life with me, the kids, and work. I didn't need, a man.
Yeah.
I was questioning if that was ever really a legit thing. Is this love thing even real? And about the time I came to that in my mind, the next week I met Steve.
And Steve's like, yes, you do. And I am him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'll let you tell that story.
Did you start beating your chest? And
No, well, not quite, but
did you go full Tarzan, take off
was
your
his,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
his
yeah.
dance moves.
no, it wasn't that.
Dude,
Definitely
Steve
wasn't
can
my dance moves.
fly a plane, and his dancing ability is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I can fly a plane. I can't dance or sing.
Or sing. Me neither.
Yeah, so I was in the golf business for 18 years.
Yeah.
I was a golf professional for 10 years.
Very good golfer. I don't know if you still are, if you play a lot, but this
I
dude,
don't play a
he
lot,
could freaking play some golf.
I
know
can
at
hit
one
some really
point.
good shots. I get some really bad shots. So
Yeah, that's golf.
But yeah, if I practiced and played, I could
Yes.
get my handicap down. But
Dude, I was just at the PGA too. On that note, America invited us to the PGA Championship.
Yeah.
We were there on that first
Saw
day.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing! So
Yeah.
much fun. Now
Oh, yeah.
I walked more in a day than I haven't had for a long time.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it was cool. I was thinking about you because I'm like, awesome. So
Yeah,
cool.
it's a great.
There's a couple
setting.
PGA pros that even made it in the tournament
Sure,
too.
yeah,
It was really
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for a PGA professional.
golf
That's
pros.
like
Yeah.
that's like the thing. Like, can I make it to there?
That's awesome.
So yeah, and I've played with some guys that have played in the PGA Championship, in the St. Louis area, and just phenomenal players. You get to that level, it's just stripe after stripe after stripe all day long from all the players, and then it's just a matter of who gets the ball in the hole. And
It's fun.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, 10 years as a golf professional, not a professional golfer, a golf professional. So I wasn't on TV, cashing big checks, but I was in the local area cashing small checks, and it was what it was. And then at one point I'm like, there's got to be more to this, I knew I could see where the cap was in being a golf professional.
What do you make as a golf professional? Like, because you're like a professional, like a country club, right?
Yeah, well, I was at a public facility, and as an assistant, I'm probably making $35,000 a year plus a percentage of my lesson fees.
Got it.
And
But you get to play golf every day, Steve.
But well, that's a misnomer too. You don't get to play golf every day as a golf professional, especially in the summertime when you can play golf. You're working 70 hours a week or more, and you've got the league come in. You're cooking pork steaks for one group, and you're running the golf shop and merchandising and doing all kinds of stuff.
Jeez.
So it's a lot. The cart guy gets sick, and you got to run carts. It's like you do everything. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot. So a lot of hours.
It sounds like such a fun, sexy gig, and then you're like,
yeah.
it's terrible.
Yeah, come spend a day in my shoes and you'll see.
Yeah.
But everybody does think it's sexy, yeah. And they always miss the golf professional versus professional golfer. Like, oh, wow, you play with Tiger? I'm like, no, not so much.
Some changes in the commas in the salary between
Yeah,
those
there's
two. Professional
Yeah.
golfer, golf professional.
That's right, yeah.
That's funny.
There's several zeros there. So then I'm like, okay, so I see guys coming in and out of golf shops, and they're selling golf equipment to the golf shops. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. They make their own schedule. They do, you're still in the golf business, and then they go out and play golf. I'm like, oh, now they're playing golf, And so I had moved to a public golf course in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And I was working out of the golf course there, and so I asked a couple guys that were schlepping golf bags and golf equipment in, and they kind of gave me the story on how to what they did and how they did it. And so I found a company that was starting up, and I emailed the sales manager every week until he gave me a job. And he's like, hey, I'm going to Las Vegas. I have to serve this territory. We lost a rep. We're leaving at whatever time. Can you be ready? I'm like, yeah, sure. That was my introduction to the job. And so I got back, and it was commission only. I'm like, just like in insurance, I'm like, what, commission only? So I got to sell stuff, and then I get paid. And then when does that happen? How long does that take? So I was just like, all right, I got a job. Let's go. So I quit my job at the golf course there, And then I was all in as an independent sales rep for another 8 years in the Southern California area.
Wow.
So I did that for quite a while. So that was my first introduction into being an entrepreneur, and running your own time schedule, your own business, basically.
Wow.
And I had like 5 or 6 lines going at one time, and I just went golf course to golf course and golf shop to golf shop and developed relationships just like we do in insurance, and away we go. So then 2008 comes along, and 2008-9, and everybody stops playing golf. Everybody stops buying leisure sports equipment. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, if I stick this out, I could be really top of my game, or I need to do something because I need money. And so like a lot of people in this business, you go to the cattle call, you get your, you go sit in there and you're got your suit on with your tie, and you're like, where did all these people come from? And, you're sitting there wondering what's going on, and no one's talking to each other. And, they take you into the interview, and then you get to the second interview, and you're like, if you're really lucky, you get to the boss, and whatever. And then ultimately they're
That's
like,
good.
well, you got to go get your license. So go get your license and then call us back. And I'm like, okay. So I go start studying, right? And in the middle of that, I was talking to my sisters, and my youngest sister, her best friend, was married to Amy's manager in Kansas City. And at this time, I had moved to Phoenix. I'm in Arizona at the time.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of jacking up at my cousin's house and going through studying for my exam. I talked to her manager over the phone, and he's like, hey, before you commit to anything, just hear me out, right? So I listened to him. He said, you can do 2 things. You can stay there in Phoenix, or you can come here out of my office, and I'll teach you the ropes, right? So I pack up all my stuff. Next day, I'm on the road, and I show up on a Sunday night in Kansas City, spend the night at a hotel, and go to his meeting on Monday morning in like shorts and a button-down short sleeve. I looked like I was going to the beach.
Wow.
Yeah. And
On a whim.
yeah, on a whim. Just like, all right, let's go. Let's get this done. So I show up, and my truck is in the parking lot with the trailer attached to it, and I walk up to the meeting, and he's sitting here, I sit next to him, and then Amy walks around the conference table and sits on the other side of him.
And you're like,
And I'm like looking at the man, kind of looking at the manager, but not really looking at the manager, and she's kind of looking at the manager, not really looking at the manager.
she's like, well, this guy, who was like the one staring at the other?
It's probably me first.
Yeah, I think as we talked later, I think we were both.
At the same time.
Yeah, but I was like, I mean, who moves to Kansas City from Arizona? It must be for a chick. So
For an insurance gig.
Yeah, but I thought there had to been more to it. There must be a
got
chick
it.
involved. So I didn't think that much about it.
Yeah.
Other than I did think, I wonder if a guy like that would ever like a girl like me.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that was
That's off
the
a
end of the
movie or
thought.
something, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably
or a
is,
song.
yeah.
or-
Probably.
Yeah.
So we went to one of the events that this manager had, and we just started talking, kicked it off a little bit, and Amy's telling me like, hey, there's not a lot of training here. We got to figure this out on our own, and a lot of people in the office are kind of pairing up and figuring it out, and so who better to pair up with to figure it out than Amy, right?
That's right.
So that's
She's
what we
like,
did.
you know what? I'll take you under my wing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we
As long
started
as you
doing.
go dance with me.
She was just hitting on you. She's like, man, what a good looking dude. Man. You know what I mean? Golf pro.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was all tan, at the time.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
yes.
He says I thought he was Mexican. That's why I liked him.
Yeah.
That's my normal thing.
That's hilarious. I
So
love that.
I was probably in the best shape I was in my life too at that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did your first month go?
My first month was pretty dismal, actually. So
Did you make more than $70?
I don't even know if I made any dollars in my first month.
Wow.
I don't
All
think
these new agents gonna be like, this industry's terrible.
Yeah.
Wait, we're gonna get to the good stuff.
Yeah. So I don't think I made any money really, and then we started to. I saw a need in Amy's household. She needed help with around the house. She needed help with the kids. She's like trying to do the whole mom and dad thing and sell.
Yeah.
And so I kind of started just doing things that she needed done around the house, And
Were
then
you all like just working together at this point?
We were
Going
working
on
together.
dates.
Well, we were
Just-
dating.
Yeah.
We were dating
little-
and
It was all
working together.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he did say like, I can like go to the store. I can cook. I can. How do
I
you
can
want?
do some stuff.
How do you want your towels folded? I'm like, what? You're willing to wash my towels? Like, I don't care.
Who is this guy?
I know, right? So he's like, I'll help with that so that you can spend time with your kids and build your business. Sell.
And then
Wow.
I started getting more involved on the business side of things, helping her set appointments and then setting appointments for myself, going to different referral groups, different chamber events, that kind of thing, or going together to stuff. And so that's kind of how it got started and got kicked off. So
That's cool.
And honestly, we like divided and conquered. So since I was already selling and getting pretty good at that, or really good at that, then he helped these agents that were coming on get trained and going. So I didn't have to pivot, because it's hard when you're on your own selling. Oh, hold on, I got to go help this agent. Okay,
Correct.
hold on, I got to go pay my rent. I got to go sell. So we just helped each other in that way, and it really turned out to be a beautiful thing.
yeah,
That's awesome.
That worked out great. And then I think when Amy was, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Amy was making sales and making more and more money. That's when the agents that I was working with, they started to come in and make some money too. And so I was trying to get the team to keep up with what Amy was doing,
That's awesome.
and so when Amy would sell $1 million worth of health insurance, the team needed to sell $1 million worth of health insurance. And that was kind of my goal in helping the team get up and
That's
running.
awesome.
So
And honestly, even though like our start with our initial FMO and the regional manager there was definitely a lot of things we learned great about package selling, doing the right thing for the client. In that sense, you also learn, and you just have to keep your mind open to things like maybe that you weren't serving you well, and how would you do it differently for other people. So we started having meetings at the apartment, not in our apartment, but we used the clubhouse and the theater room. Every Monday we would have meetings, even though we didn't know all things, but we could definitely serve them well. So we've been doing, team meetings that then turned virtual when we started getting more team around the country, having a app, WhatsApp was we did that. So we had team communication channels. We did events together. We would go serve the community together, so we've been, our team is really, I know a lot of leaders will say they're like family, and it is so true.
Yeah.
Because we pray for each other. We celebrate
That's awesome.
babies and marriages and mourn deaths together, and, do all the things.
I think y'all were leading like a national prayer call at one point too. Yeah.
Yep.
Still do that some?
Amy was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because it was just like I had a couple new agents that had some personal stuff going on, and I just have phone calls with them and pray with them. Some on the daily, and they're like, this is just so different. And God's like, it's not just that person, like the industry needs it. They need a safe place to come
Yes, they do.
be able to share
So
and
cool.
be vulnerable and not
Really
be
cool.
judged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
So-
one thing I want to transition to, because I feel like this is because Emma has had a way different experience starting out in the industry than y'all did, to say the least. Talk through what was that onboarding like? What was that training like? What makes her so much more successful than other new agents? What is she doing that is working? What did she have to learn? Why was it easier a little bit? Maybe not, and like, I think she's how old now?
She just turned 20.
Just turned 20,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
Yeah.
But she's been in over a year now. Her first year, she earned 102,000 at 19, which is unheard of, by the way. Talk about that. Like, what's that look like? And let's bring in some like value and tips for agents of like, okay, here's how even someone that's new or young can get off to a fast start and do well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll let Amy speak on this a little bit, but she'll tell you that it was listening, like from 8 years old to 19. She heard Amy on the phone or me on the phone talking to people over and over
It
and
is
over
how
again.
amazing how much you can pick up.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like I subconsciously picked up a lot over the years that maybe I don't give credit to or didn't recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think also just having that work ethic and, being a bit stubborn,
No
but
doubt.
I'm not going to quit.
She
I'm
seems
not gonna-
super competitive.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
very
Right?
competitive.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah. She challenges everyone all the time, as she did when she was a child to her mother.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things, you can take that strong-willedness
Yes.
and either end up in jail or you can run a company, right?
Yeah.
So it's
'Cause
really...
she does seem like, from a personality standpoint, for her age, very, I would say very just strong-willed. And
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
not ashamed of who she is and not afraid to speak up or speak out or like be direct or honest or, you know what I mean? Like, I love that.
Yep.
Yep.
She went through a rough time earlier in her life in middle school where she had a lot of bullying and she became very inward, which was not her at all. So I actually pulled her out of school and homeschooled her alongside of building the business and doing the things. But, I'm not going to really take credit for Emma and who she is because I didn't create her, but it just kind of helped mold her and keep her in the rails. But what I would say for new agents is you've got to have a mentor that you trust, someone that you can follow their lead that's successful. So even when we didn't have that necessarily where we were, we knew who were industry leaders and we just knew what we wanted to learn from them.
Yes.
And we would, every event, we go, we're talking to this person, and that person, and that person, and that one, and asking these questions, and we're not leaving until we do. And even if they, worked 90 hours a week and I was this mom that couldn't do that, I would take the skills and plug them into my life. So Emma has done a really good job of that.
The key there was implementation, right? So we get those things, we come back, we actually do them.
Yep. Yep.
That's big. And too, like she's, I think you all said she's wrote like 40 something apps. I think when you were saying the numbers, my brain went to like 43. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last 3 weeks.
In the last 3 weeks.
Yep.
Right. A 20-year-old writes 43 apps in the last 3 weeks.
Right.
How?
Yep. So I will say with her, I do want to give this blanket statement. We did not do her any favors. We did not give her leads. We didn't have an application that was about to cross the finish line.
People assume that.
Yeah. They do.
They assumed that with me as a new
Yeah.
agent, by the way, that there had to be a bunch of like favoritism and nepotism stuff, right? And
Yep.
it wasn't the case at all.
Right.
You know,
She
sure, they
said-
can be there to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're to help everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She says actually we were harder on her than we were anyone else because we want her to know
Same for my
what
dad.
it's like to have to grind and get on your feet and open your mouth and not
Correct.
just sit there and get, referrals handed to you.
I think this is one thing that's important too, is people don't realize how beneficial it is to actually be difficult on someone, help them, give them a good system.
Right.
But like you're not doing the work for Emma. She's doing the work.
Absolutely.
And I think that was like, we try to make it so, it's good to help people and make it a little easier on them, sure. But like, I think we can almost go too much and then they don't respect or they're not grateful for all that you're doing. And then it's like, you end up doing it all. And then, you know what I mean? You know what I
Yep.
mean by that?
Yep,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
So we've built a structure and a system to plug into processes. We just want to make sure we're giving agents every possible opportunity to be successful.
Yes.
And if they're not, even though they'll still blame us, they need to look inward a little bit. Like, did I stay plugged into the meetings? Did I do the trainings? Did I go out and actually implement the things I learned? Did I do the scary stuff? Because if you think that this mom wanted to go and walk and talk into businesses, people I didn't know, that was not at all what I wanted to do. But I had to. And I think cutting off, and Emma will say this, she has no plan B. This is the plan. So I have to work the plan because I'm not doing anything else.
We need to get her on the channel too.
Yeah.
by the
I
way.
told her that. Yeah. She's all down, but she's holding down the office.
Yeah.
Right now.
Not today, Emma. Keep working.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
how comforting is it to us knowing that she's there and she's doing what she's doing and we can come down here and do stuff like this?
At 20.
20.
Yep.
Gosh,
She
man.
took her exam. That was her 18th birthday gift, right? Go take your exam.
Yeah.
She did not pass the first time. She was
I didn't either.
Yeah.
She was very hard on herself. I did tell her that.
Yes.
even Cody Askins didn't pass the first time. So there's hope, right?
I failed twice.
Look how successful he is. She's like, oh. But it took her a while to
Sure.
unplug her brain and believe in herself again. We had some
So important.
transitional things going on in the office. She did a little assistant work because we had that need at the time. Went back and got her license 4 or 5 months later. So yeah, that first year she just dug her heels in, listened, learned, implemented. She gets so many referrals from her clients and to her own mistakes. She doesn't really ask, but she does such a good job that they want to help. They want to send people her way.
Cool.
So it's really just her plugging in, not quitting, doing the things, showing up at all the meetings, the events, and
being around it helps too. Like I feel like that was true for me. Like I was an intern for a little bit in the office, and doing some like part-time stuff before I really went into like full blown, I'm here to sell and make money for me. And I think that, I feel like just, again, being around it helps. And there was probably a lot more that I learned during that time than I even give credit to that I really don't ever talk about because I wasn't like, full time yet. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
I think some of the things I've heard too, just to kind of recap as well. You're just some nuggets that we picked up, right? Talked about being yourself. Y'all are, phenomenal. Bundle selling 5-6 policies per, right? Incredible. And there's systems around that I've seen that they use that it's hard to like showcase on this. Believe in yourself, listen, work ethic's really important. Don't quit. If you don't quit, you can't fail. You're going to end up doing well if you don't. Find a mentor you can trust, which is huge. And you're really good at like learning and actually going back and trying to implement, which is huge. If they want to learn more about Polaris or just reach out or they just need help or they just relate to your story or they need prayer, they just need to talk, what should they do? Where should they go?
Yep. You can go to our website, thepolarisagency.com, and there are ways that you can schedule appointments that way, whether it's just wanting to talk about mentorship, agents, clients. There's a way they can get on our calendar that way as well. But yeah, and I think too, Emma being young and being a woman, both are very hard because it's been traditionally a male-dominated industry, and that's changing. There's 52%, I think, of insurance agents are women. Surprising. Yep. So she is not going to let anybody discount her because of being a woman. She's paving the way, but I also think too that women. Guys are obviously really good at sales, but I think women bring a different approach. Like we're nurturers, we're carers, we want to truly help people. We envision like putting our arm around a client, and saying, how can I help you? How can I love on you a little bit? Correct. And Emma's a little more tough love than maybe I am, but people really, really appreciate that. She had a client just yesterday, she was saying, brand new to her, and the client said, man, I haven't talked to anyone this good in a couple months, awesome. In anything professional. Can I send some people your way? And do you have a Google link that I can fill out and do a review for you?
That's cool.
So yeah, that's awesome. She's doing great.
I love that.
Her goal is to make $250,000 this year.
Let's go, Emma. You've got this. Also, if you guys are watching, man, jump in comments below and give Emma some love and some encouragement. She's amazing. Steve and Amy, love your story. Amazing, like what you've gone through to then get to hear. It gives our audience hope that no matter what they're going through, if they plug in and they find the right people, and they just trust, it's amazing what can happen. So thank you both for being back on the podcast, and I really love that you were in person. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Okay. Huge thank you to these two, man. Love Steve and Amy. You can look them up online on Instagram, etc. Reach out, or you can go to polarisagency.com. Incredible couple, family. Also Emma, amazing, right? Incredible. Congratulations. Love seeing that. I love hearing other stories about like people coming from. I hate that they went through those rough situations, but then, hey, they were able to make it out of it, right? Or being brand new and young and being able to make 6 figures. Like the good news is, I promise you, no matter where you're at, it is possible for you too. Also, if you made it this far in the interview, we are going to give you a little bit of a gift. If you've never tried our leads, you can go to CABOOMLeads.com and use coupon code YouTube to get 10% off your very first order. And I just had 3 testimonials in the last 24 hours come in where one person wrote 3,800, one person wrote over 5K, another person wrote all over 7,500, all from just final expense leads on their very first order with us, all telesales too, which is amazing. Okay, so you guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging with us. See you on the next episode. Adios. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're gonna love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Okay, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.